Well, hello, good morning. I've just got in. If we accept the fact that I've obviously set up a tripod and got my microphone on here, but let's not shatter the illusion of vlogging quite yet. There's a whole new week. I'm quite excited. Let's take you off there. I don't have the easy clip. And yeah, let's get some lights. All right. So this week is going to be quite a good one, I think, even though we have to go back to Coventry on Thursday for another exam. I'm feeling fairly chilled about the rest of it. No newsletter to try to cram in. So Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, all kind of free. I've got some admin to do. That's all right. And I realised I've got another 2 scripts that I need to write, but I think they're going to be quite quick on, so I'm going to get on with that. But for today, I'm going to set all my side a time for doing the handwriting stuff because I finished a whole bunch of tedious aligning stuff over the weekend, and I want to try the next bit of code, which is going to be awkward, but maybe I'll show you how I've got on at the end of the day. We will see. Right, let me pop some lights on and get this whole place opened up. We're going to be heading over there. That's Shrewsbury Prison. Hold on. Here we go. We've even managed to get the rainbow in that I've been desperately trying to get in the video on the way here because it's quite a pretty one. But here, this is Shrewsbury Prison. I think I've mentioned this before. Well, I mentioned it was going to be in a Batman comic, but I'm not sure if I ever showed the comic. So here we go. Batman's in town. So Mike Perkins is one of the artists who does Batman, and he spends half his time in Shrewsbury. There's Mike. Hi, Mike. And over here, we have the castle that you've just seen, and then this is inside, and this is where the castle is used in the Batman comic. So Shrewsbury, for some reason, it's in Batman now. Which is honestly not that strange, all things considered, because we've got quite a few cartoonists here, including for Judge Dredd as well. So the latest Judge Dredd film has got the peach tree in it. That's named after a small restaurant in Shrewsbury where they sat and came up with the script for that. Bit of a weird connection, but there you go. Right, I'm going to get on today. So I've basically spent the whole day sat at the computer doing scripts, various admin. Nothing photogenic or videogenic, is that even a word? But I thought I'd drop in right at the end of the day to say I've been updating my journal here with books that I've read. So I tend to read physical books, read Kindle books, and then listen to audiobooks, and annoyingly I sometimes end up getting the same book in all 3 formats because they're useful for different times. And another thing I've been doing recently is listening to the Blink books, which are kind of like a summary where they cut down a whole book into just 20 minutes and give you all the key points. Now, having listened to some of the blinks of books that I already know, I do know that the blinks are actually missing out quite a bunch of stuff and aren't a substitute for the actual book. However, because I read a whole bunch of productivity books, the first productivity book you read is full of like loads of new information and you're like, this is the best book ever. But by the time you get to your 9th or 10th one, there's actually very little new in those books. There might be something and you're like, well, this new book by whoever, it's not very good. But it turns out that book might be brilliant for somebody who's reading that as their first productivity book, but not so great if you've already read loads of them. So that's why I'm finding the blinks really useful to kind of go, is this a book that I want to read? Does it sound like it's got anything great in it? Okay, so the reason for all of that is what I like to do is I like to make notes as I go through a book and then review each chapter or review the whole book afterwards. But because I've been listening to blinks on my walk into the studio, they take about 20 minutes. It takes about 20 minutes to walk into the studio. And because I've been super busy, I haven't been doing the reflection on them, so all the knowledge kind of evaporates away. But then the next day or the day after, I go, oh, I'll listen to another one. So I've been having a backlog of books that I've listened to, but I haven't done my reflection on. So this afternoon, I've been going back through those books and then going through my journal and making like a page or a couple of pages of each book and writing down my key notes for them, which is what I tend to do. And I have a couple of Kindle books that are on the go at the moment that I also need to make some notes for. Again, it's not very videogenic, but this is what I'm at the moment. This is what I've done, and I find this really super useful. So I just thought I would share that. And once I've done all of these, what I'll do is I'll read through all my notes for all these books again, and then highlight any things that really make sense to me and speak to me, and other things that don't make sense I either need to ignore because I don't like them or look into a little bit deeper. But more importantly, hopefully once I've done all this, I should be in a position to keep on top of it again, and then when I walk into the studio in the morning, I can then sit down for half an hour and do my reflection before I actually get on with my day. And then in the evening when I'm doing Kindle stuff, I'll be able to write them down, I think. I don't want to get behind again. Inevitably, I will fall behind again, but this is resetting me. So that's it. That's been my afternoon. I'm going to head home now, and I'm probably annoyingly prolific in reading books and getting through books. Anyway, right, I will catch you tomorrow for hopefully some more visual stuff. I'm going back onto the handwriting again tomorrow. Fingers crossed. Well, good morning. It is ridiculously wet this morning, which is a nice change to be honest. So today I'm going to be completely focusing on the handwriting stuff because I need to push that forwards because I'm tired of my journals being written in my not quite joined up handwriting. I really ought to do the last bit to get it joined up. It's going to be quite maths intensive, and the files are really big, which is going to make that slow. But hopefully by the end of the day, I'll be able to talk through that a little bit. Thought I'll give you an update on how we're getting on with the handwriting. So as you know, we're dealing with pairs of letters. So I have all the letters connected to all the other letters and several variations of them. And what I want to be able to do is blend from here. We've got the double A, one at the start. Now we've got a second different double A at the end here in red. And I want to blend the second A from the first pair to the first A from the second pair. Now I'm taking a naive approach here, where I'm just saying that the second half, the last 50% of points on the first pair is the same as the first 50% of points on the second pair. Now that doesn't make a lot of sense because if you're writing, say, TI, then most of the points in the letter T and very few in the letter I. But taking this naive approach, we can see, if I keep doing these A's here, it's actually not that bad. It's trying to work out the center of where these two letters are and trying to put them together. And if I do BBB, that's not bad as well. Now this is kind of fun because that middle letter is obviously completely generative. It depends on the two that are there. So I'm really impressed that this is working. If we take a word like cat, it's not so bad. The A's are fairly well matched. But if I do something like bat, then it's going completely wrong. The second half, that A there, is not aligning at all with the first half of the T because the numbers are all off, and then when it's blending from one to the other, it's going completely wrong. So it's certainly not perfect, but it's not that bad. So if we do www, you know, we're blending all rightish there. And let's go SDF. Ooh, also not terrible, and the fact that it's not terrible tells me that this is close enough to actually working. The next step is to work out the correct number of points, and because I have each of the letters again done in a number of varieties just sat on their own, so I have 8 versions of the letter A that all have the same number of points in, I can probably assume that the number of points in that letter A is a good guesstimate for the number of points I should be using at the start of anything beginning with A. So it's a little complicated, but I think we'll get there. However, I don't think I'm going to take that approach. I think what I'm going to do is, say we go EEE, let's see if that works, is here, as we transition on this cyan from one E to the next E, I might have a little breakpoint that's probably here, and then the start, I'll say the start of an E is here. So if I go through all my double letters, let me just move this up, GGG, here we go. Now if we just look at the cyan one here, as you move from this G, the end I'm probably going to mark as here, and then the start of the next G I'll probably mark as here. And I'm going to go through all the double letters, the GGs, the HHs, II, JJ, LL, and so on and so forth, marking those 2 points. And hopefully that will be enough to make it work. If none of that works, I think I've got another solution which is a little bit more involved, and it will involve me running absolutely everything through some code that matches it all with everything else, and then starts to try to randomly place them, measure the distance between all the points, and then slowly move them closer and closer until it's got the point where it knows that it's over the top of each other, and kind of hard code that value between every single one of them. I don't want to do that, but I think it will work, and I don't think we're going to have to do that. Anyway, that's progress today. I'm pretty pleased that just this crazy, just make an assumption that half is one thing actually works. I'm feeling really positive about that. So I'm going to pack up for the day, and I'll see you very briefly tomorrow. Hey, good morning. It's Thursday and it's 6:30 in the morning and I'm getting ready to take my youngest to their exam in Coventry. I'm just plugging Coventry into the GPS over there. It takes a little while to lock in and I know from last time that I'm not going to feel like doing anything by the time I get back. Thought I'll just say hi and then we'll quickly move on to Friday. All right, a little end of the week update. Early in the week, I showed you trying to get letters to blend together and things like bat wasn't working because it was scrunching up the A. So I've made some changes because before it was just assuming where the breakpoints are. I'm going to put you here. So here we go. We've got our letters and I've got some reference up here. And if I just flip through them, AAA, BBB, CCC, so on and so forth. Now here, what it's doing is it's marking where it thinks the first letter ends. And I've got a reference up here. So this is what my A's generally end like. They have this little tail over here. So that's marking that. Meanwhile, my F's tend to start roughly around here. And my G's actually start up here. So you can see the mark is here. So it's marking where these letters generally begin and end. Now, if I go down to here, we can now see it's trying to blend these AAAs together. And if I go through them, see that's a lot better. If I go change this up to Catt, there we go. So my variations on Catt are great. So it's blending from this A here into this A here. So it's all dynamic. If I go to bat, which we had trouble with before, but now it's looking pretty good. So that first screen I showed you where it's got the little red circle and the cyan circle marking the breakpoints, it's calculating that from all the single letters that I wrote ages and ages and ages ago, but I can drag on the screen to adjust those positions if I need to, which I'm going to do over the weekend just to fine tune it all. But I think this is working. There's still the odd case where the letter B's are a bit weird in the middle where they're blending, but I'm actually okay with that because my handwriting's not perfect and it's better than writing a lot of my stuff myself. But I think I can get around that by, once I've drawn it, throw away a whole bunch of the points and then smooth around them, pretty much like how Amy does hers, where she has very few points and adds the curves in. I'm starting with lots and lots of points, so I can go the other way of reducing them all back down and then I guess putting them back in. Anyway, I'm not quite sure about that yet. Anyway, I'm pretty pleased. That'll do it for a week. So this over here is doing really well. Whew, right. Next week is half term. No exams to drive to, so I'm really looking forward to that. So I hope you all have a lovely weekend and I will catch you next week, or refreshed and lovely. Right, okay, have a great weekend. Bye.